South Africa says it's investigating the circumstances behind the arrival of 153 Palestinians from Gaza who arrived in the country on a charter flight from Israel. The group was initially denied entry because of a lack of travel documents, but they were allowed in after intervention from President Cyril Ramaphosa. 23 later flying on to other destinations.
I saw people from Palestine running to South Africa for safety because of the war between Israel and Palestine. And my question is, why is it that when there is problem in an Islamic nation, you guys don't run to your fellow Islamic country?
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right, something very weird is happening in Africa, and this has left us asking the question, what does the future of Africa look like in the next coming 20 years?
Right, this is because in South Africa, over 100 Palestinians were seen getting into South Africa, but what brought the discourse online was the fact that they didn't have proper documentation, and this has really left a bad taste all over Africa and South Africa, to be specific.
Right, guys, let's remember that there was a time also that a lot of Israelis were seeing going into the country that is South Africa. And right now, a lot of foreigners are buying up pieces of land in South Africa that is leaving the netizens ask, what are they being left with there? So let's watch what we prepared for you, and then we come back and talk about it. You can let us know your thoughts and opinion on the comment section. Also consider subscribing if it's your first time here. Let's watch and then we come back.
I saw people from Palestine running to South Africa for safety because of the war between Israel and Palestine. And my question is, why is it that when there is problem in an Islamic nation, you guys don't run to your fellow Islamic country? What's going on? Like, if there is problem, you don't run to your fellow Islamic country for covering. You run to a different country entirely. And most times, after some years, we'll come the years say these people now, they won't put Sharia law for that new country where they go. Do you know that the people of Palestine wanted to run to Egypt? Egypt people no agree them. Egypt is also a Muslim country. The people of Palestine wanted to run to Egypt. Egypt people say no, you can't come in. They are fellow Muslim people. Now they don't run enter South Africa. I just hope that in a few years' time, they will not be protesting that South Africa must start operating with the Sharia.
These Palestinians made it through South African immigration. That is, after being stuck on the tarmac for 12 hours. The circumstances of their journey are shrouded in mystery. More than 150 people arrived on a charter flight to Johannesburg without a departure stamp, return flight, or proof of accommodation. The group was initially denied entry and left in limbo, a move that drew sharp criticism within the country, as South Africa has been a long-time supporter of Palestinian statehood. South African authorities eventually granted entry to 130 of the Palestinian charter flight passengers. The situation was only resolved once higher authorities stepped in.
These are people from a strife-torn, a war-torn country. And out of compassion, out of empathy, we must receive them.
Local organizations agreed to offer accommodation. One said that this was the second plane carrying Palestinians believed to be from war-torn Gaza to South Africa in the last 2 weeks. Many passengers themselves said they didn't even know their final destination. What also remains unclear is how they were able to leave without proper documentation.
South Africa is gone. It's gone. It's probably been gone for a couple of years. I don't know if we ever had it, to be honest. The story of the 153 Palestinians that landed illegally at OR Tambo 2 days ago, you couple that with the Arabs that came and bought land in the Eastern Cape and built an airstrip, invested in a game reserve. Why randomly in the Eastern Cape? The stories of the Israelis who are buying up property in the Western Cape, Cape Town, and are bumping up property prices and essentially a form of gentrification, making it very difficult and unaffordable for ordinary South Africans to live there. The constant stories we hear about Mozambicans, Zimbabweans, Sotho people from Lesotho, Swati people from Eswatini, Tswana people from Botswana, Malawians, Tanzanians, coming into South Africa. Those are our neighbors, some of them. Somalians Ethiopians running business here to a point where they've built some type of cartels and mafias that keep ordinary South Africans from competing in business. The Western Cape and the DA, or the DA in the Western Cape, welcomed Ukrainians to say, you guys can come here as refugees, we'll sort you out. We've had so many drug lords from Eastern Europe that have been here. Some have been killed, some have been arrested, etc. There is no sovereignty in South Africa. We are told about a sovereignty, but there's no sovereignty. There are no borders. It's a free-for-all. Cyril Ramaphosa, the ANC, and not just Cyril, but presidents before him would go and bow to the Queen of England, the King of England now. Even the Zulu kings would do the same. There's no sovereignty in South Africa, and I hope and I wish South Africans could wake up and see that this country is run by managers who never stopped working for Western colonizers. We need to start having a conversation around building closed communities. We need to have a conversation around building something like an Orania, something like a Stain City with our own security, with our own people inside. Documented, undocumented, doesn't matter. People that you're saying, these are my people. Because if we don't, a civil war is going to erupt very soon. And I can tell you now, the elite are going to leave, or they're going to use the soldiers and the police to defend themselves. And ordinary South Africans are going to be the ones left suffering, as it's always happened in history. But South Africa's gone. It's gone.
Let me give you some breaking, eerie news. Try get your heads around this. A mysterious plane has landed in Johannesburg, coming in from Israel, carrying 150 Palestinians. Yep, you heard me right. 150 Palestinians from Gaza. This wasn't a normal evacuation. This is far more mysterious than meets the eye, and actually, I'm getting a little bit of the jitters thinking about what this could potentially be. Passengers arrived with no clear paperwork, some without exit stamps. They were detained on the tarmac in Johannesburg for 12 hours while the officials tried to work out who was responsible for this flight and how they got there. Reportedly, the flight was arranged by a group called Al-Majd, a charity organisation. But here's the twist. It's not a registered charity. It's not an official organisation. It has been collecting money from desperate families in Gaza, Palestinians, and promising them a safe exit to safety. How did a chartered flight carrying traumatized, exhausted passengers with literally nothing but what was on their bodies without any documentation? Who cleared their passage from Gaza? Who escorted them out? Who paid for this flight? So I'm thinking, imagine you're a parent in Gaza and you have lost all your loved ones. You have only 1 or 2 children left, and somebody offers you the opportunity to start a new life in safety, to be rescued. Sell everything you've got and you get on this flight to escape the war zone. Then you land in a country where they do not even know that you are coming. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has said that they will not be turned back to a war zone. But there are so many questions. Did Israel know? Is this kind of like a covert operation to ethnically cleanse? Is this a humanitarian effort or a displacement? This is quite scary and eerie. What do you guys think? Kind of doesn't seem to add up to think that these Palestinians have left the country in a chartered plane without the state knowing.
Guys, come closer. One news reached me. Even though it's been a while I do trending news or breaking news, but this one we all need to hear. These people, they landed in Johannesburg. When they arrive, upon their arrival, Border Management Authority, BMA, discovered that something is fishy. Some of these people, they don't have stamp on their passport. You understand? And some of these people, they don't have place to stay. And most of them, they don't have ticket to return back to Palestine. So these are This is what we say, illegal immigrants, or what are we going to say? I don't know. They arrive in South Africa and they block them on the border and they tell them they will not enter because of the document is not complete. Later. Gift of the gifter. I don't know, maybe they are working in South Africa as an organization, as an human right. They come to the rescue of these people, to the rescue of the Palestinians who come to South Africa, and they give them accommodation, and later the government allowed them to come in South Africa to stay for 90 days. And according to what they are saying, they say, oh, these people are not requesting for asylum, so maybe after 90 days they are going back to their country. Now let me chip in, make I explain this news to you all. You see, it's been a long time. People in South Africa, people close to South Africa in border, I'll be saying President Ramaphosa love white people. They say he love Kazungos, Muzungus. I never believe. Countless times South African have bring the news of this man to me that this man did not like Africa. I did not believe. Why did I say I did not believe? It's because the way I see the man on media, I don't see him as a man who don't love Africa. But this man shocked me this moment when he allows Palestine to come into his country. Whereas we have major problem in Africa and nobody said anything about it. We have problem in Sudan. We have problem in Ethiopia. We have problem in most African countries. But the two bigger one is Sudan and Ethiopia and Congo. So since we have been shouting on media, I never hear any African country saying they received some immigrants for Sudan, or they received some immigrants from Congo, or they received some immigrants from Ethiopia. No, nobody received nobody. Nobody received nobody. The recent shocking news on media is the one of Sudan, where everywhere was destabilized. Everybody see it. But it's so unfortunate that our president, our leaders in Africa, they don't have human sympathy. They don't feel nothing for us because we are not the one who choose them. Most of our presidents are coming from France. They are coming from America, or they are coming from England. We never produce any African president by ourselves.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this episode in the comment section, yeah? You know, I feel like in Africa right now, there's a lot of shifts happening. And I feel like if Africans don't act quick enough, we might just lose the core value of who we are, you know?
Right, you know, there was once an African who went viral on TikTok for saying that foreigners have it easy when buying land in Africa. They're even allowed to buy land in Africa,
but when it any foreigners,
white foreigners to be specific, right? But when it comes to Africans going abroad, it's sometimes very difficult for them to buy land abroad in the same rate that white foreigners come into Africa to buy land.
Right, and I feel like a lot of things right now happening in Africa, people can get lost into the noises because you're looking at South Africa and this is happening. You look at Eastern Africa, what is happening in Sudan, there's also something happening there. In Central Africa also, there's something happening there. So you end up asking yourself, like, what do they have planned for Africa in the long run? But Africans should have their eyes wide open because you shouldn't just be sitting down waiting for situations to happen. But what I'm glad about is the fact that the Gen Z in Africa kind of are getting woke.
They're questioning everything that is happening in the continent. And there was a speaker that particularly resonated with me, and this was of the Nigerian woman or the West African woman who had noted that in any Islamic state, once there is war or the country is war-torn, they usually tend to run to other countries other than first seeking refuge in other Islamic states, you know. Like she gave an example of when Palestinians wanted to go to Egypt, which has Islam, but Egyptians rejected them. And under her video were a very interesting comment section, right? And Islams even themselves were coming out and saying that is her question was very valid, but they themselves did not even have the answers to the very same questions, right? And my concern right now is in Africa, there is majorly colorism, but you don't often hear incidences where racism has occurred in Africa. But with all these groups of white or white adjacent people coming into Africa, the biggest fear or the biggest question is, are they gonna import racism into Africa?
Right, and then guys, you also have to think about the fact that this group of people, just for the mere fact that they are not black, they do not like black people, leave alone Africans.
Not all of them, most of
them don't like black people, and a lot of them do not like Africans. But Africa is good enough for them to come and live
when they're
among,
seeking safety.
Right, but what happens when they get from that situation where they're desperate enough to seek help to a situation where they've gotten comfortable, they own things, and they live their lives comfortably? Can you imagine how they're going to be relating to the black natives they found there?
Right, because it is said that there was a time where Israelis, but not only Israelis, a couple of foreigners were buying up land in the Western Cape. And right now, it is alleged that before these Palestinians arrived in South Africa, there was a group of Palestinians who were buying land in the Eastern Cape.
Eastern Cape Arabs, you know.
Arabs were buying land in the Eastern Cape,
right,
while Israelis were buying land in the Western Cape in South Africa.
Right, yet the citizens are there and the land under them is being sold and bought like it's just something that is just readily available. And can we also talk about the fact that the president himself, Ramaphosa, right, he went to the airport to try and sort all these situations and open the gates freely for everybody in need. So I'm asking, did he just do that out of the goodness of his own heart, or was he trying to be politically correct? Or the other allegation, you know, I don't want to say it, but you can imagine where I'm going, right? So which is it? Was he just being charitable? And on the same note, we also have to think about how Africans are treated outside Africa. You know, do they extend the same grace to Africans? You know,
right? Because in Palestine itself, it is said that there is a place that literally its Palestinian name translates to slaves. You know, so that is a place where Palestinians refer to it as it's like generally called slaves. You know, and that is a place where black Palestinians live.
Really?
Right.
I didn't know that.
Right. So
Africa, I feel like at this point, you know, aura for aura, energy for energy, you know, go with those who love you, go with those people who respect you, most importantly, you know. I feel like the doors of Africa should not just be opened to just any kind of person,
people,
you know, because there are a lot of Arabic countries out there they could have gone to. There's a reason why Egypt didn't take them. So why is Africa opening the gates for change to this magnitude where
I don't feel like, I do feel like everybody needs help, especially if they're running away from war-torn countries. But why are they being welcomed with open arms, whereas there is Sudan where refugees need help, there is Congo where refugees need help, there is Ethiopia where refugees need help, but this African country in particular, you know, charity begins at home, you know. So if you want to be charitable and show the world how charitable you are, why not start with your own neighbors as you extend the grace to other people, you know? Because for Palestinians, they've traveled a long way for them to come to South Africa for help. Why didn't they also start with their neighbors, the Jordan and Lebanon and Saudi Arabia, you know, the UAE in short?
Right, and you know, guys, there's a guy who was talking here, a South African guy who was talking, and he was just asking a simple question. Have South Africans even ever owned South Africa, or were they just given the illusion? You know, because the things that are happening, it seems like even the leaders of South Africa are purposefully sabotaging the country.
There was once a time where, I don't know if it was President Ramaphosa, so I'm not clear on this, but there was a certain president of South Africa who was once giving a speech and accidentally called South Africa, the country, a corporation, meaning it's being run like a
business,
company,
and people who are
company, and the owners of that companies don't even live in Africa. They live outside of Africa. You get what I'm saying?
So you can imagine. So what does that mean for the true South Africans, the natives of South Africans? What does that mean for them? Because it's looking like a situation where in the near future, the black South Africans are gonna not own anything in South Africa.
And they'll be majorly living like slaves in South Africa.
Right. Only
they'll
that
just be the labor force of South Africa, but they can't own anything in South Africa.
Can you imagine, guys? Anyway, I dread the time that will happen, but it's looking like there's type of
elaborate plan.
There's an elaborate plan for Africa in general, and there's that crop of leadership that is emerging. You know, Traore is an exception.
Right.
Traore and those
the Sahel region.
The Sahel region, they're different, you know. But it's just like 3 countries. The rest of Africa is rotten from the leadership. You know, you look at Nigeria,
Africa a piece at a time.
You look at Nigeria, you look at Kenya, where we are from. You look at Uganda, you look at South Africa, you look at what other country? The ones maybe I can try and think of, but they've taken the cornerstones of from all the directions. You know, you look at east, west, south, central, and north. They've taken the important cornerstone that
the gateways of Africa.
Exactly. So once you take the gateway of Africa, I feel like it's just a matter of time before
you have the whole continent.
Exactly. Especially if you have leaders who are not there to protect the country and the people. They're there to protect their own pockets. They're there to align their own generational wealth. Then I guess Africa is already sold, you know, unfortunately.
Right. So guys, let us know what you think about this episode. But I do feel like it's not South Africa alone, but the whole of Africa should be concerned with where the future of Africa is headed, you know. But anyway, guys, let us know what you think about this episode. Also consider subscribing if you're new to our channel, and we'll see you on our next episode. Thank you so much for watching.